Wow, is the United States the new hidden village? Has Trump become the Hokage? Apparently, a Florida United States representative introduces legislation to have his mug on the Mount Rushmore. I actually wonder if it's going to be like that mug photo that he got from prison. And look at it here, like there's an image how it would look like. Apparently, it would eclipse right in the vision of the person that did this Photoshop in the mind, the individual that thought of creating this 3D rendering. He would eclipse Abraham Lincoln. Right? You can't see Lincoln is behind him. I don't know this other. Is there another dead president next to Lincoln? Like, hey, look, I'm not American, all right? Like, I don't have to know everything about your cultural landmarks, even though they're quite beautiful. I want to point out that this is also incredibly significant, and at the same time, not at all. But for different reasons, right? So the first reason why it's significant, I think it shows that the next 4 years of Trump presidency are simply going to be driven out of spiting the liberals. Uh, Basically, is the complete opposite of his first term, where it was like, how do we tiptoe to accommodate liberals? How do we not rock the boat too much? What do the media think? Oh my goodness, the media called us racist. We shouldn't press on this. This is the exact opposite. It's like the media called us racist on this issue. It's like, okay, well, shit. Now I guess we need to hire more manpower and put them on that issue. Like, we weren't planning on escalating that issue, but if the media calls it racist, then, I mean, we got it now. Like, it's an obligation to our voters, right? Because this is what's actually happening. Like, a lot of MAGA voters, if you talk to them, you will see that they view the progressive movement as the decade of humiliation, where a couple of ideologues have managed to take control of the top-down aspects of culture and have completely reversed and put backwards most of American values. And not only that, but they were acting like cheeky little shits, insulting people that didn't go along, calling them bigots, silencing, censoring, getting people fired. No negotiation, no debate, no platform for bigots, and anyone that wasn't with them was a bigot. And as such, they managed to create and foster a lot of resentment in the American people. And on top of that, it seems that their policies, their experts were incapable at stabilizing the economy. There's no argument that the living conditions of the people that live in the now aren't as good as the living conditions that people had in 2016. And what pisses people off even more is the gaslighting. Like, not only do you manage to tank the economy, but you're also telling people that everything is fine, that employment is good, that crime levels are low. And so people felt humiliated, and they voted for Trump, not because they necessarily identify with him or they believe that he is a moral beacon, but they basically hired the guy to fuck with the libs. See, a lot of people in politics, like, they do not understand just how powerful spite is as a motivator. It's an actual force that drives politics more than anything else, more than ration, more than reason. Vote for me because the other guy is bad is a tried and true democratic voting tactic that works almost everywhere. And it's something that you try to do to channel spite, right? Like, you hate the other guy. I'm not going to say what exactly I offered. That's not important, but I'm not the other guy. So spite him by voting for me. This is very interesting because a lot of people still don't get it. Like, they don't understand how, like, for instance, in Britain, people voted Labour or chose not to vote knowing that Labour will win. It was to spite the Conservatives, right? And even though, like, Labour is far worse than the Conservatives from the point of view of a Tory, and they did exactly what the Conservatives did that their electorate disliked, but they did it on steroids, it doesn't matter. Like, people are willing to hurt themselves just to spite the politicians. And this is what has happened with a lot of people in the MAGA movement. Not all, by the way. But a lot of them, like, genuinely don't care. It's like Trump will put tariffs and everything will go up by 25%. And I saw people saying, I'm willing to have my living standards increase if I know that it makes the people that censored my friends, that try to prevent me from going to work during the pandemic when the BLM riots happened, that have twisted my values and tried suggesting that my country is racist, that my children are racist, that my children are a problem because they're white, blah, 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 right? Like, those people are now going to be, it's like, you know what? I am willing to pay 25% extra just to fuck with those people. I want to see those people crying on TikTok videos. I want to see those people humiliated. I want to see those people upset. And this is what's happening, right? And so this legislation is literally that. It's like rubbing it in their faces. It's like, all right, well, what would piss them off? I genuinely think that this is the agenda of the current Republican administration. It's like, what would piss the left off the most? And if it does, then they'll do it. And you're going to see that the approval ratings actually go up. And I think, like, the media also noticed this, so now they're laying low. They're not going with the 2 scoops of ice cream stuff. And they're realizing that the more outrage they get, the more emboldened the administration gets. And the more higher the approval rating goes. And so, you know, that's why this is important, because it highlights this aspect of the administration, right? Like, once you understand that the Trump administration runs on spite, you're going to understand a lot of other things that move forward from a symbolic matter, right? Because spite isn't the only thing that keeps the administration moving, but the symbolism, like some of the legislation, some of the stuff that they're passing is definitely there to be antagonistic and to upset the libs. Yeah, like Trigger the Libs wasn't just a meme. Don't let your memes stay dreams. Like, they actually became reality. But from a practical standpoint, this legislation is absolutely useless, right? And it's also a bad idea. Like, number one, it ruins the feng shui. Like, as you can see, you know, all the presidents, like, they have their hairstyles and they have their motifs as something that's ancient, like something, well, not ancient, but it's like something that's centuries old. It's a monument that withstood the test of time. You know, altering it now, adding a person from the modern contemporary era would completely ruin the piece, in my opinion, and probably in the opinion of many others. But it's also the fact that, you know, like, Trump just started his presidency. Do not give him the Nobel Peace Prize like you give to Obama before he actually finishes, right? Because it may be a very poor presidency. It may be him being incompetent. He may not finish his term, right? Like, I mean, what is his age? It's a miracle that Biden finished, right? I mean, you got to take this into account. Like, Reagan had another problem. Like, he had dementia during his second term. And so, like, trying to add an accomplishment before the person finishes the job is folly. It would also ruin this historical piece by adding contemporary standards to it. Let's put it like that. But it's also, you know, like a thing of massive hubris at the end of the day, because the man is still alive. Like all these other founding fathers, they passed away. But it's also a thing of massive hubris, like all the other heads there. You know, people don't view them as political in the sense of partisan. Like, regardless if you're a Democrat or if you're a Republican, well, at least you're supposed to, right? Because, like, some Democrats, I understand, don't like Jefferson anymore because he had slaves. But on theory, at least, right? Like Lincoln, like most Republicans and most Democrats, and I know the story behind Lincoln, but, like, I'm talking in general. Like, if I go into the United States right now and I ask random people from the street, right? They will view Abraham Lincoln in a very positive light. Again, unless they watch Razor Fist video or unless they are autistically studying history and they would complain. But, like, most people do view Lincoln in a positive light, even though, like, he was one of the most extreme divisive figures of his time. Why is that? Why do people view him in such a positive light? Well, because a lot of time has passed since his presidency. And so, like, if you genuinely were to want to put a modern president on Mount Rushmore, and my advice would be don't do it, but, like, if you're really insisting on it, then at least wait a couple of decades, if not hundreds of years after the guy passed away, so historians can look at the era and say, yeah, I mean, this was a turning point for the United States, and his policies managed to revitalize, right? Like if you look at it from that perspective, sure, yeah, I agree. But in this situation, I think it's cringe. I'm going to say this as a Trump supporter. I think it's cringe. But then again, you know, I'm from Romania, so what do I know? Like, maybe Americans would actually enjoy this. Let me know what you guys think. And as usual, I will see you in the comment section. Take care.